This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C., a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. I am actually thinking of going 4 days a week on purpose now. It originally started because of the Christmas holiday, Christmas Eve. And then I kind of started to think about it, and I'm like, 4 days a week kind of might be more than enough to do sports on a weekly basis. Because, again, I'm only looking to hit the heart of the matter, talk about sports and only sports. I'm not really looking to do entertainment. Maybe later on I might add some entertainment to the show. But for right now, it's all about sports and talking about real topics, real things going on with sports fans inside of the sports mind. That is what this show is all about. And as I get ready to jump into the 2022 year, I'm looking at how to improve the show. And me and my executive producer, we were talking a little bit, and he was telling me, maybe we should, cut down the number of shows we're doing on a weekly basis. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, 4 days a week sounds good. So Monday through Thursday, kind of like how I do my radio show, actually, is how I'm going to do the podcast. So there will be new episodes of the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. Monday through Thursday, wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast. And of course, we do the shows live on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. On Facebook and Twitter, it's at Yay or Nay Podcast. On Instagram, it's at Yay or _ Nay Podcast. Again, on Facebook and Twitter, at Yay or Nay Podcast. On Instagram, it's at Yay or _ Nay Podcast. Now, obviously, it's been since Thursday since we had a conversation, which, again, is how it's going to be from this point moving forward. Let's talk about what we got to talk about, which is a whole lot of football. There's a lot of sports stories and stuff to get into as well. We're going to probably get into those tomorrow. Today, we're mainly going to go over the results, talk about a few topics that are within those results, and maybe preview tonight's Monday night game as well. Let's start off with the game that happened last night, Cowboys and Washington. The Cowboys win 56-14. Now, of course, national media trying to blow this up, make it a big deal, act as if, now Dak Prescott in full form. The offense is in full form. First of all, let's talk about the Cowboys offense, the alleged number one high-scoring offense in the NFL that the national media keeps trying to beat down your throats and act as if this is the best thing since sliced bread as far as NFL offenses go. First of all, 3-star wide receivers, 2-star running backs, star quarterback, stars on the defensive side of the ball can barely win games. Offense, anemic most of the time, most of the season. Can barely put points up against the New York Giants, lost to the Oakland Raiders, struggled against Philadelphia, struggled against Washington the first time around. Then last night happens, and all of a sudden, and the excuse, by the way, that they kept making for Dak Prescott was, it's no coincidence that since his injury and since he come back from his injury that he hasn't been playing well. Okay, and that's the excuse that the excuse birds of the national media kept giving Dak Prescott. Now all of a sudden they beat Washington. Now all of a sudden the excuse birds aren't out there. They're not talking about his injury anymore. Now he's back. The offense is back. They're clicking. This is the dynamic offense that everybody needs to fear, and Dallas is going to make a deep run into the playoffs. Okay, so now here comes a little dose of reality. First of all, it was against the Washington football team. Need I say that again? It was against the Washington football team. That's the equivalent of playing against a Pop Warner Little League football team. Secondly, they just got done playing a football game on Tuesday night. Thirdly, Friday night, they had one of their players get into a car accident where somebody died. So I hardly doubt the Washington football team had their mind on football when it came to Sunday's game. Much like the Raiders have been struggling all year long with the same problem. So when you drop 56 on a team like that, and by the way, this is how you're supposed to beat a bad team. So this is not like nobody's going to do this. This is what you do when you play a bad team. This is how you know you are an average to an above average team when you beat a bad team like this, because this is what you're supposed to do to a bad team. And I'll give you another better example here in a moment. But the Cowboys beating Washington doesn't prove anything to me at all. It doesn't say Dak is back. It doesn't say this offense is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a victory over a bad football team. So you beat them 56-14. It's amazing how you want to talk about Dak. You want to talk about how great this offense is. But when the Patriots win games like that, you want to talk about how it's not the quarterback, how it's the system, how it's Bill Belichick, how Mac and Cheese is not good. You don't want to give any credit to Mac Jones at all, even though he's blowing up teams as a rookie quarterback. Yet a veteran quarterback who you call a star can barely beat teams, and then they finally beat a bad team the way you're supposed to beat a bad team. And now it is because of the quarterback and the quarterback play, and this offense is the greatest thing. Again, you can't make up your mind. The fact that you're basically biased is written all over every statement, every story, and every news program that comes on the Four Letter Network and other sports networks as well. Because again, one game against a bad team, and now we're supposed to believe that this is the high-potent, high-powered, high-scoring offense that you guys keep bragging about. Then we move on to the next game. Another example, Chiefs beat the Steelers 36-10. Another anemic offense, but against a very bad team who, by the way, the Steelers defense, they suck. Let's be realistic. The Steelers defense sucks. Teams have been dropping 26 plus on them all season long. Again, teams have been dropping 26 plus on the Steelers all season long because the Steelers defense sucks. And they have no stars. Can anybody name any stars on the Steelers? Offense or defense? And by the way, if you say Big Ben, you're fooling yourself. And if you say TJ Watt, you mean the guy, much like his brother JJ Watt. Matter of fact, they might as well be identical twins. They can't stay healthy. They can't stay on the field, and they can't play a full season, but they command a lot of money. You waste a lot of money on your salary cap on these guys, and they can't produce because they're never on the field. So why you pay the Watt brothers any money is a joke. And the Steelers are one of the teams that's paying one of the Watt brothers, TJ in this instance, money to sit on the sideline so you could talk about how good he is, except he's never on the field. So how good is he really? Just because a guy comes in and he can play 1 or 2 games and he looks great for 1 or 2 games isn't a reason to pay a guy a lot of money. If you can't be on the field, you're absolutely worthless to me. And TJ Watt, as well as JJ Watt, you guys are worthless to me because you can't last a full NFL season because you're not built to last a full NFL season. You're not strong enough to play a full NFL season. So therefore, you should not be commanding the money that you're commanding because you're not good enough to play a full NFL season. That is reality, folks. Absolutely 100% reality. And the Steelers losing to the Chiefs 36-10. Again, Chiefs offense back. All of a sudden, same story as we're getting from the Cowboys. Oh, look out. They're back. They're on target. No, this is how you beat a bad team. And whether you guys understand it or not, the Steelers are a bad team. Yeah, they played the Titans and they won the Titans have struggles. They have struggles. Sometimes they're on all cylinders firing off at 100%. Sometimes they're not. That's what happens when you're missing your superstar, which for them is Derrick Henry. So the Steelers coming back against a team that doesn't even score 20 points a game, which makes it easier for you to win when a team doesn't score 20 points a game, isn't really anything at all. It's not a measuring stick. And the Steelers are a bad team. You can see that just watching them play all year long. Ben Roethlisberger is a bad quarterback. You now finally have national media people admitting the truth, which is it is hard to watch him play football because it's embarrassing to watch Ben Roethlisberger play football. He's tried to stay on the field too long, and he should just gracefully bow out because the more he plays, the sadder his career ending is. And that I agree with when the national media makes those comments because it is horrific to watch Big Ben on the field. And the Chiefs, their offense, no. Is it fixed? No. Is their quarterback fixed? No. But again, teams get exposed when the playoffs come. So I'll allow the national media to say the things that they're saying because they will get proven wrong and these teams will get exposed when they go to the playoffs. That is kind of like alcohol. You know, alcohol is like a truth serum. If you want to find out what somebody really thinks, give them some alcohol and then let them do all the talking. And you're going to hear a lot of the truth come out of their mouths because that's what alcohol is. That's what alcohol does. It's a truth serum. That's what the playoffs is for football. All the national media, they're going to run their mouths. They're going to tell all these stories. They're going to tell you all these fantastic things. And again, I think they're just getting paid to be a bunch of cheerleaders anyway, because that's what it sounds like when I listen to them commentate on these games. But they get exposed for being wrong because the truth serum, which is the playoffs, exposes all of the bad storytelling that you heard all season long. And you're going to see the exposing of the Chiefs and the Cowboys when we get to the playoffs. Because these next 2 weeks where games really don't matter ain't going to matter for the Chiefs, and it isn't going to matter for the Cowboys. So whether they win, they lose, they play bad, it's not going to matter. They're in the playoffs. They're set. They don't really have anything to work for at this point. So, again, Patrick Mahomes, is he fixed? No. Dak Prescott, is he fixed? No. They'll get exposed when the playoffs come. Remember, one of my big, bold predictions was the Kansas City Chiefs were not going to be back in the Super Bowl this year. And I still stand by that. Raiders beating the Broncos 17-13. I think I did pick the Broncos to win that game. Again, Raiders with all the sidetracking, and you don't know what they're going to be from week to week, and you don't know if they're going to be able to focus on football. But again, when you're not having to focus really hard because you're playing against a team like the Broncos who only puts up 13 points, yeah, you're going to win the game. Again, you can't put up at least 21 points on somebody, you're probably not going to win the game. And the Broncos only putting up 13 points against a bad team like the Raiders, and not because they're a bad team, but it's because, again, they don't have a head coach. We know about all the off-field incidents. Now you got questions about whether Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback next year. They're just, dealing with situations left and right. Football, not really something they're focused on week in and week out, but they focused just enough to get past the Broncos 17-13. Seahawks, Bears, this was a surprise to me. How the Seahawks lost this game, I don't know. They had it won. They had it in hand. Next thing you know, they got shut out in the fourth quarter, and the Bears beat the Seahawks 25-24. Buccaneers beating the Panthers. Everybody wants to jump up and down and act as if Tampa Bay, they're back. Antonio Brown looked great. He's unstoppable. If he plays like this for the next 3 weeks, they're going to be unbelievable and be perfectly fine going into the playoffs, and they're going to do absolutely perfectly well in the playoffs. Okay, number one, Antonio Brown, I still say shouldn't be in the league, but that's a different conversation. Number two, you did it against the Panthers. Again, a Little League Pee Wee team called the Carolina Panthers played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, an NFL team, on Sunday, and the Pee Wee team lost 32-6. Nothing to write home about, nothing to brag about, nothing to get excited about. National media is trying to sell you, Tom Brady's so great. Antonio Brown's so great. You did it against the Panthers. Can we be a little more realistic when we're reporting on sports? You beat the Panthers. No one to write home about. Chargers. Wow. You know what? They have been this as long as I remember. A team that looks good in spurts and then they're bad, and you find out how bad they are. But this is embarrassing bad. To lose to the lowly Houston Texans 29-41. And for everybody who kept screaming about Herbert and how great he is, and he's going to be one of the top 5 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Folks, can you say, just like Dak Prescott, an overhyped, overpromoted quarterback? That's what Herbert is. He's a quarterback that in spurts looks good, just like the Chargers. In spurts, look good. He's following the team motto. And then they fall apart, and you see exactly what they are, which is a mediocre to average team. And he's not a mediocre quarterback, but he is an average quarterback. And they got blown up by the Texans. And that interception for the pick six, that's just an embarrassment if you're supposed to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And the national media is constantly trying to ram it down your throat. And then this is yet another bad performance and another bad loss for the LA Chargers. Because again, to lose this game, it's a bad loss. It's a bad look for the Chargers. and it's an even worse look for Herbert himself, who's supposed to be one of the up-and-coming quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm not saying he won't be great, but he's nowhere near great at this point in time. He is an average quarterback at best. Average quarterback at best. So, now, we got tonight's game. Dolphins, Saints. That's an interesting game. Saints need the win. Dolphins want to keep their win streak alive. This one's going to be a good game. I'm going to give a slight advantage to the Dolphins, though, because I think their defense is stronger. I believe Tua's the better quarterback. The Saints are on their third-string quarterback anyway, I believe it is. So, Taysom Hill's not playing. I think Eason is the name of the quarterback that's going to be playing for the Saints tonight. And you put him and Tua, and you weigh the two, and you got to give quarterback advantage clearly to the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins win tonight's game. Better defense, better quarterback. Dolphins beat the Saints. No doubt about that in my mind in any way, shape, or form. Traveling back, Bengals, Ravens. Everybody jumping up and down about the Bengals and Ravens. Okay, here's the thing about this. Ravens, first and foremost, with all the injuries and all the people that they're missing on their roster. Again, I've been saying this for a long time. They have no business competing in all the games they've been competing in, but they've been playing great, looking great, struggling. Coaching is not the question. We're just talking about the last-second decision-making in regards to the two-point conversions. However, this one wasn't about a two-point conversion. This is about a third-string quarterback going up against the first-string quarterback, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So when they talk about Burrow and all the yards he got, over 500 that he threw for, look, when the Ravens defense, who, by the way, again, is a bunch of people who are a makeshift defense, they're not the starters, you're still missing everybody, and they're on the field most of the time because you got a third-string quarterback who can't get it done on the offensive side of the ball. You're supposed to look like the Bengals looked yesterday. So am I impressed by this up and down Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and team that you cannot rely on in any way, shape, or form to play consistently good in the Bengals? In other words, for the people who are trying to say, oh, the Bengals are back, because I heard it this morning. But again, these are all the part-timers on the air at the Four-Letter Network right now. These aren't the full-timers. So keep in mind, these are the same people on the weekends that say all the, blasphemy and crazy things that get said on the weekends. So we're listening to them right now, not the full-time people. But they're trying to say that the Bengals are back and, oh, Joe Burrow and, oh, the Bengals. No. You beat the Ravens, a depleted defense, with a third-string quarterback running the offense. That is not anything to worry about, and you beat a team like that the way you're supposed to beat them. You're fully healthy. You got a starting quarterback who, Joe Burrow, I like him. I think he is going to be great, and I do think he is above average, but I also think he plays like he's still a rookie because he has games where he just underperforms poorly, and because of that inconsistency is why the Bengals are not a threat to go deep in the playoffs, if they even make the playoffs. So them beating the Ravens, not a big deal, like the national media was trying to say today. And the Bengals are not a deep threat in the playoffs. They are just going to be there because somebody has to be there. They may, I should say, be there. They still may not, depending on what happens with the Browns. And who knows? Ravens might catch fire, get lucky. Who knows? We don't know. A couple of weeks left to go yet. But the Bengals beating the Ravens the way that they did, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Bills pouncing on the Patriots, a little payback. But again, Josh Allen, another inconsistent quarterback, overpaid, overhyped, overpromoted. He's not as good as everybody says. He has to run too much. He's going to get injured doing it, by the way. Quarterbacks who run the way that he runs get injured. He's already had a couple of injuries. They just haven't been severe yet. They will be. They're coming, especially if he tries to do that stuff in the playoffs. They're going to take his knees right out from under him. Trust me. They're going to go get him, and they're going to have every right to do so. Because if you can't stand in the quarterback, I should say, if you can't stand in the pocket, then you're not a quarterback. If all you could do is drop the ball in your arms and run, and you're nothing but an option quarterback, then you're nothing but a college quarterback. You're not an NFL quarterback. So why are they paying you all this money when you can't deliver the ball, and all you can do is run? And you don't got any running game. Your running backs are pathetic. Your running game's pathetic. That defense you have, again, Overhyped, overpromoted, overrated. You're nowhere near as good as everybody said you were. And the Patriots, rookie quarterback, made some mistakes. For the first time, he looked like a rookie. And eventually, he had to have that game. Doesn't mean you're better. Doesn't mean if you met them in the playoffs, you'd be better than them. You still might lose to the Patriots in the playoffs. This victory over the Patriots means nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. You haven't proven anything. It's just a victory you had to have. And I don't even know if the Bills are in the playoffs yet. Maybe they are. I haven't looked. I haven't checked. So don't quote me on that. But the bottom line is the victory over the Patriots, yeah, you needed it. You had to have it. And finally, Mac Jones looked like a rookie. And so what? He's going to have a game like that. He's still doing way better than everybody predicted. He's way better than everybody says, even though nobody wants to give him credit. And the only reason why they want to talk bad about him and not give him credit is because they don't want to give respect to a rookie quarterback. And to me, I find that amazing when all they want to do is talk up quarterbacks, but they don't want to give any respect to him because he's a rookie. Eagles blew up the Giants. A lot of people, amazingly, listen to what I just said about Josh Allen. All he can do is run. He can't stand in the pocket and throw. He is the running game. And I insulted him for it. But with the Eagles, the national media, by the way, doesn't insult Josh Allen for the reasons why I just did. But now let's jump back to the Eagles. And they get all over Jalen Hurts for this because he runs, because he's the leading rusher on the team, because he's the reason why they run, because he is a dual threat. They jump all over him for it, saying he needs to learn how to stand in the pocket and throw. See how they play their favorites? You could tell where their loyalties lie when they talk about teams. So they'll talk bad about Jalen Hurts because he runs, and they say he runs too much, and he's going to get injured, and he needs to learn to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. But Josh Allen, yeah, he could deliver the ball every now and then. He could throw the ball, but he's not consistent with it. He has to run, and he has to run for over 100 yards a game for the Bills to be competitive against anybody. That means you're not good as a quarterback if you have to rely on your legs to run for over 100 yards, and you're the quarterback. But with Jalen Hurts, that's the style of ball he came up with. It's the style of ball that's working for him, and he's also able to deliver the pass, but they don't want to give him the respect for it. The reason why I give Hurts a little bit of leeway and I'm not giving it to Josh Allen because Josh Allen's like on year number 5, Hurts is on year number 2, and this is really only his first year starting as a starter. So, yeah, he's going to run a little more than he's supposed to. Eventually, he is also going to have to learn to have that as a weapon in his back pocket, but he's going to have to learn how to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball, as well as Josh Allen needs to learn how to do that. And in your 5th year, you should already be doing that. And since you have not yet developed that part of your game, I don't think you're ever going to be a quarterback that anybody has to worry about. And you are definitely, again, overhyped, overpromoted. Yes, you're a starting quarterback in the NFL. Yes, you're a good quarterback in the NFL, but you are not the star that the national media says you are. That is what I'm saying. You're an average quarterback. You're not great like the national media tries to say you are. Jalen Hurts is on his way to being great. Yes, he has to learn to stay in the pocket more. Yes, pocket passers do better than quarterbacks who try to use their legs. And yes, pocket passers are the ones that win Super Bowls. Fact, not fiction, which is while the running quarterback is exciting, they're not durable, they don't last long, they get injured, and they don't win Super Bowls. And that is the ultimate thing right there. They don't win Super Bowls. Pocket passers win Super Bowls. So Jalen doing what he does, no problem. First year being a starting quarterback. Josh Allen, you still haven't developed your game yet. I don't know that you ever will. And eventually you're going to reach an age where running won't be an option because your legs won't be out under you because you're going to get too old. This style of game can only last so long. Jets beating the Jaguars. Who cares? Somebody tried to say this morning that the Jets have shown signs of getting better. Where? You beat the Jaguars, and you barely beat them 26-21. And again, it was the Jaguars. Where's the signs of the Jets getting better? I'm confused. I don't know what the national media watches sometimes. I really don't. Rams, Vikings. You know what? Offense wasn't that good, but team ball wins games. This is what the national media doesn't understand. They want to disrespect the offense of the Rams and talk about the Rams aren't that good. They're probably not a threat to go deep. Wrong. Team football. That's why it's called a team. It's not called offense. It's called football. It's not called quarterback game. It's called football. And team football wins games. The Rams as a team found a way to beat the Vikings. That is the sign of a good team. And that is the sign of a team that can make a deep run in the playoffs. When you can play team football, that is a huge difference maker. So that's the part that the national media doesn't get, because some way, somehow, again, they got their own version of what football's supposed to be. But when you have a team playing team ball and you figure out as a team how to win when one side of the ball isn't playing good and the other one makes up for it. And when the Cowboys have been doing this, by the way, because the offense has been horrific for the Cowboys for how many weeks in a row now? And they've been absolutely pathetic as an offense. And the defense has been good, not as great as the national media is trying to make you believe, but the defense for the Cowboys has been good. And while that defense has been good, they've been playing team football and winning games. Again, but they've been doing it against low-quality teams. So there is a little bit of a difference there. They've been playing team football against low-quality teams. But with that being said, team football wins games. And they've been screaming about the Cowboys, oh, how great they are. Oh, you got to be able to do it on defense. And when the defense is playing like this, the offense doesn't have to do much, and you don't have to ask to do much, and you don't have to worry about the Cowboys. Cowboys will be perfectly fine with this defense. So when the Cowboys win that way, there's no problem. But the Rams win that way, and all of a sudden there's a problem. Again, you can tell the bias of the national media every time you hear them talk. Rams played good, team football, found a way to win. Everybody should fear the Rams because, again, when you find a way to win a game like that, that is the sign of a good team. Falcons over the Lions. Lions, again, still showing you heart, still playing. Falcons barely beat them. It was a good game, 2016. Colts did what I said they would do. Blew up the Cardinals. The Cardinals, folks, are exposed. Kyler Murray can't run. Kyler Murray is easy to contain now. Everybody knows you don't go to the inside. You stay to the outside. You keep containment. You keep a spy on him. Every now and then, yes, he's still going to break loose. He's still going to get some yards. But again, they are exposed. They only had one playmaker on the team, DeAndre Hopkins. He's out with injury. Now, none of those wide receivers, because none of them are good. A.J. Green, now you're seeing what I said before the season started. Why did they sign A.J. Green? A.J. Green is not a good receiver. His numbers got worse and worse every year. Last 2 years were the worst years of his career. Now he's having to play as a number one wide receiver, and now you're seeing why nobody else picked him up and nobody else wanted him as a number one receiver, because A.J. Green just is not that good. He is below average, and his age is showing. So again, Cardinals, no DeAndre Hopkins. None of those wide receivers on that roster for the Cardinals are worth any kind of large amount of money. Fact, not fiction. Cardinals receivers are not good. Running game. They like to talk about their running. What running game? I've been saying that for a couple of years now. They don't have any running backs. They don't have any running backs that are a threat. They don't have any running backs that anybody has to worry about. Now then, they finally did get one from the Pittsburgh Steelers, but why Pittsburgh let him go? Because he's always injured. What happened now? He's injured. But when he's on the field, he's good. He gets yards. He can run, but he can't stay on the field. And that's the problem with him. So again, Cardinals don't have anybody. They just don't. They do not have anybody. DeAndre Hopkins is it. Connor, the running back they got from Pittsburgh, he is good, and he's a great runner. He catches out of the backfield, and he can do some things, but he's not a difference maker. DeAndre Hopkins is a difference maker, and everybody on that field, as far as wide receivers go for the Cardinals, they're not good. They're not difference makers. They're not great wide receivers. They're not anybody that other teams are going to look at to offer a big payout to, because they are not that good. Cardinals now fully exposed. Cliff Kingsbury fooled us all. He is not the coach that everybody was thinking he was. thinking that maybe he turned a corner. Even I was one of them that was almost influenced in thinking that he turned a corner. No, he is the bad coach we all thought he was. You're seeing Cliff Kingsbury and his bad coaching get exposed. Why? Because it was the 50-50 balls that Kyler Murray kept throwing up in the air and DeAndre Hopkins was catching. It had nothing to do with play calling. It had nothing to do with schemes. It had nothing to do with anything that was drawn up by Cliff Kingsbury. It was Kyler Murray, get the ball, run, get loose, make sure they don't sack you. Let them run scramble drills. Eventually, DeAndre Hopkins will get open. Then you throw a 50-50 ball. Or DeAndre will just get open because he's that quick, that fast, that elusive. And you find DeAndre Hopkins, and the next thing you know, you'll make a play. But it never had anything to do with the game plan from Cliff Kingsbury. It was all Kyler Murray and his legs, Kyler Murray getting loose, scramble drill, DeAndre Hopkins getting open, or getting a 50-50 ball. That's not a game plan, folks. That's bad coaching. Have you ever noticed that none of their scores come off anything that looks like it's an actual play? It's all scramble drill stuff. That just shows you Cliff Kingsbury is not part of the winning equation. It's Kyler Murray that's part of the winning equation, and it's DeAndre Hopkins. And it also shows you that, unfortunately, unless Kyler Murray has an elite wide receiver, he's really not that good of a quarterback. He's an average quarterback at best, which is fine. You're going to get a lot of average quarterbacks in the NFL. You're not going to get a bunch of elite quarterbacks in the NFL. You're going to get a bunch of average quarterbacks in the NFL. But a lot of people were talking about he was elite. Well, folks, now you're seeing he's not elite. He's average at best. And in some instances, in certain categories, in certain things, he's below average. So that's that. Packers, Browns. Look, the Browns should have won that game. And I know national media wants to run their mouth and says, nobody should be whining or complaining. There's no excuses in losing. He threw 4 picks, and he almost threw a 5th, and that's the reason why the Browns lost. No. Even though he threw that, they still fought their way back, and that pass interference call that should have been called would have put them in field goal range. But because the call was blatantly missed, again, another example. It's amazing how week in and week out I continue to do this. Another example of how the referees determine who wins games or momentum of games. This is another perfect example because, again, the referees determined who was going to win that Packer-Browns game, and it should, and I'm not a Browns fan, it should have been the Browns who won that game. There's no doubt about that in any way, shape, or form. And so for the national media to sit there and act stupid and act like the fans are idiots and they shouldn't be complaining about a PI call that didn't get called, and then trying to say at that point in the game, you're not going to get that call. Really, that's a bunch of garbage. You know how many times I've watched fake, false PI calls get called and extend drives for teams when they should have been stalled and allowing those teams to go down the field and score? But yet, when it should be called, it's blatantly missed. It's blatantly not called. And it stopped the team from getting the ability when they deserve to get that first down and be put in field goal range to go down the field and score, and not only score, but score the winning drive. Are you serious? And you're going to tell me fans don't have a right and a reason to be upset? It's amazing how these guys, they want to act like there's never anything in life to complain about. No, there's nothing to complain about. Never at all. Oh, no. But yet, when one of these hosts gets insulted on Twitter because they say that she's fat, she's immediately arguing with people and talking bad about people and saying how people are this and people are that. But when a team has a more legitimate reason to be upset because a PI call doesn't get called, they don't have any reason to whine or complain or get upset. But if somebody calls this particular host fat, she's got every reason to whine and complain and act like a baby and argue with people on Twitter. It's amazing how these hypocrites go. It's absolutely amazing and hilarious to watch these hypocrites go. But the bottom line is the Browns should have won that game. And again, another example of what I've been talking about all year long, where the referees determined who the winner was. Browns should have won that game. Packers won 24-22. 49ers, Titans. This is a game, and I said before it happened, that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to feel the stress. Finally, he'd been playing stress-free. He was proving everybody wrong. He was just having fun. He was playing great. But now the pressure's on, and the pressure of the playoffs is here, and they needed that game to solidify their spot in the playoffs. and the pressure was going to be there. So the fun wasn't necessarily going to be there because in the back of his mind, you got everybody saying how he's gone at the end of this year. Trae Young's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 next year. He's out. He's gone. Where is Garoppolo going to be playing? All that weighing on your mind just changes things up. And I said he was going to struggle. And what happened? He struggled. I saw it coming. The writing was on the wall. It was obvious as could be. And it happened exactly the way I said it was going to happen. I did think, however, they would recover and win. And they did recover and go back and get the game-tying score. But Titans had a lot of time, marched down the field, scored the game-winning field goal. It's the way it goes. When your quarterback has all the pressure because the national media wants you to believe that he's gone next year and keeps banging it down his throat, and he's listening, and he's hearing, and he's got the pressure because, again, first, you were winning and having fun because you were doing what you weren't supposed to do because everybody said you and your team couldn't do it. But now the pressure's on. Playoffs are here. You tighten up, and you just play tight. And it happened. And I'd say the tightness is probably gone. Now he's had it happen to him, knows what it feels like, and he's going to be able to move on from it, and we're going to see a better Jimmy G from here moving forward. But that game was bound to happen. I said it was going to happen, and it happened just as I said it was going to happen. And the 49ers lost to the Titans 20-17. So those are all the games that took place. Again, tonight, Dolphins Saints. We'll talk about that tomorrow, as well as a bunch of sports stories that I got lined up already. You guys enjoyed tonight's NFL action, and we will talk tomorrow.